Hello and welcome to the latest CraftySimulations video. In today's episode, I'm taking out the successor to the de Havilland Tiger Moth, the de Havilland Chipmunk. Hello and welcome to a brand spanking new CraftySimulations video. Now, in the previous video a few weeks ago, I did show off Ant's Tiger Moth. And the Tiger Moth was, amongst quite a few countries, was used in the UK as a pre-war training aircraft. Now, obviously, when the war finished, we needed a updated version of the Tiger Moth, and we ended up with this, the de Havilland Chipmunk. And this is Airplane Heaven's version of the de Havilland Chipmunk, and I thought I'd bring it out in the channel. It does fit in with our narrative of general aviation VFR aircraft because, weirdly, even though this is a military trainer, it's obviously been retired across the countries that it served in. Although it is in limited service, and I will cover that in a few minutes, but it is now classed as, obviously a classic, but a general aviation aircraft. And you can actually get these in private hands. There were lots and lots of examples of these aircraft. Unfortunately, a lot of them didn't survive after they were retired and have gone, unfortunately, to the scrap heap. But a few of the aircraft did carry on and serve as pilot training aircraft and general aviation flying aircraft, and just something a little bit different from your average Cessna. So, moving on to the facts of the real Chipmunk. Okay, so it is still in limited service. Now, what do I mean by limited service? There are countries, mainly the UK and Canada, who still operate this aircraft as a crew training aircraft. Okay, so in the UK, we have a thing called the BBMF, or Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. And they have Spitfires and Hurricanes, and they are tail dragger aircraft. So the RAF decided that they needed their crews to be trained on a tail dragging aircraft. So what aircraft would you use to train on a Spitfire and Hurricane? You would use the Chipmunk, because most of the pilots have already got a few hours on Chipmunks. And it's a great training aircraft. So it is in current service with RAF and the Royal Canadian Air Force and the Portuguese Air Force. Although I think the Portuguese Air Force might have got rid of theirs by now. There was 1,284 examples. And this includes a Canadian, British and Portuguese productivity. Okay, so these were licensed built in Portugal and they were built across to Britain and Canada. It was introduced in 1946 with the first flight of 22nd of May 1946, 1 year after World War II had stopped. It was manufactured from 47 through to 56 and was retired in 1955 in Belgium, 1972 in Canada and 1996 for the vast majority of the squadrons in the United Kingdom. Okay, so this aircraft has quite a few examples and still flying. Even today, a lot of civil pilots still like to fly the Chipmunk. So moving over to Airplane Heaven's what they say is in the box, because I like to cover this sort of thing. So we have an all-new high-fidelity model with superb detail, beautifully crafted exterior and interior models built over contemporary detail plans and drawings. Authentic cockpit detail includes many bespoke animations and effects. Full PBR materials and textures include realistic pillowing of metal surfaces. Separately modelled military pilots selected automatically via camera views in cockpit. Removable pilots based on the weight window. Switchable navigation instruments work with the period-style radios. I think when it comes to navigating in a Chipmunk, you literally look out the window and read a map. Highly accurate flight dynamics and performance based on real flight tests. We have a sound pack by WY's High Fidelity and a unique code to iron out poor simulator tail dragger performance. And we have a choice of the T10 long canopy or bubble canopy variants. So at the moment we're flying the RAS version, which has this style cockpit. But we do have the civilian version or the Canadian version, which had a bubble canopy, which aids in view because you have less structure of the canopy in the way. So I think Airplane Heaven did a very good job with this aircraft, I really do. I think it is a very good looking, hello, just wanted to clip into another aircraft, but it is a very, very good looking aircraft. I can remember these being at RAF Compton, I can remember these being at many RAF bases in the late 90s, and they are very basic, but they do a very, very good job. You can even look into the Gypsy Major engine there, so I do believe it's the same engine as the Tiger Moth, might be slightly tweaked, but it is a very, very good training aircraft, and it's specially designed for pilots or potential pilots. It is going to be their first aircraft they will get their hands on, so it has to be a good aircraft for you to train on and get your understanding of how aerodynamics and aircraft work in the air. Now, weirdly, here's a little weird fact for you. If you wanted to join the Army Flying Corps, flying their helicopters anyway, you'd think you would start your flying on a helicopter. Wrong. You started on Chipmunk. You had to get X amount of hours on fixed wing before you went to rotary, and the fixed wing aircraft they would do it in was the good old Chipmunk. So let's move on to the interior of this aircraft. Okay, so what we have is Airplane Heaven. They do make good interiors. They're not the best, I'll give them this. I mean, some of this texturing is accurate up to a point. I mean, it's a military aircraft, so I don't expect it to be squeaky clean. Small throttle controls down here, parking brake, mags, switches, and usual amount of instrumentation for your various needs of navigation, engines, and all that good stuff. But it is a basic aircraft, to say the least, and that's the whole idea. This aircraft was basic. It's the first aircraft you go to fly in. But I think they've done a very good job with this aircraft. Now, I do believe that there was an FSX version. The previous sim had Airplane Heaven's Chipmunk. And P3D may have had it as well, I'm not sure. So I know this has been uprated to FS 2020 standards. I do think that obviously it's still leaning towards some of its older heritage and the older sim, but to be honest with you, there are worse aircraft to look at. I think this is a very good example of a very rare aircraft. We don't see too many of these aircraft. Like I said, we do have the sister training aircraft to this aircraft, the Bulldog, Scottish Aviation Bulldog. I can't remember off the top of my head now who makes that, but it will be in a future video as well. So it'll be interesting to compare the difference between the Chipmunk and the Bulldog. So, like I say, I think this looks a very good aircraft. Sounds very good as well. Obviously a Gypsy Major. Slightly different sounds to the Ants Tiger Moth, but it is a very good aircraft. So, where are we today? Well, we are at Burning Blue Designs, Compton Abbas. I can't remember the name of the place. Scenery. We flew in. We did a live video, 2 days ago now, and I flew in the DA42. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to do live videos flying the DA42 from airfield to airfield, and then we'll do some content around those airfields. So I will be doing a tour video of this amazing piece of scenery. So we will be bringing out the buggy again. It'll be the first time I've done it for quite a few weeks now. And we'll have a drive around and show you the details. So I won't go too much into the airfield at the moment, but the next video, that will cover what you get with the scenery. So obviously, like I say, it's Burning Blue Designs, because you know full well, because you've got the Burning Blue Designs Cessna sitting here. But this airfield is a lovely little airfield. It's an interesting one to land, because you're landing on a hill. My landing in the DA42, being that because it was the first time, was quite interesting, to say the least. You don't want to muck the landing up on this. Like I say, you've got signs here saying how many meters you've got before you really do need to consider either flying or putting the brakes on. So anyway, we're going to take the Chipmunk up for a flight, and I will show you just how good this aircraft really is. Obviously, if you press the right button, I suppose. So we do have a cartridge start, I do believe, on this aircraft. That's why you hear the bang, and then the aircraft gets up and running. So very simple to get this running. Flaps, one stage, stage. So we have 2 stages for flaps. We'll leave them at 1 stage. Got Trackir turned on. Let's get going. Lift the view up with the spacebar, so if you do have a little bit of an issue seeing above because it's a tail dragger, we do have that covered. Right, so we will be departing out of runway 26. Park ourselves up here. As you can see, the runway does sit on top of a bit of a hill. Now, I will be shutting the canopy. I normally would take off with the canopy open, but it is a bit of a sod to try and reach that little click spot. You've just got to click this one here. Obviously it's alright now, but you've got to really lean over your back. You would be relying on the instructor, I dare say, to pass you the canopy up, so the trainee pilot could obviously shut it and lock it. So anyway, flaps are down 1 stage, gear is fixed and down obviously, flaps are 1 stage, departing at runway 26, we'll be doing a right hand departure. Things to look out for, well, we're on top of a hill, so really it shouldn't be a great deal, but I think we're going to be airborne around 60 to 80 knots, something in that ballpark, depending on wind conditions. So yeah, let's roll out to the runway. Knots, flaps coming up. Flaps up confirmed, left and right. .85 knots in the climb. Just like the Tiger Moth, you won't be going anywhere faster than Chipmunk. Chipmunk is mildly aerobatic. You can roll it, you can stall it. Obviously as a training aircraft you would be trained on how to handle a stall, but obviously you do need to work out your airspeed, you do need to work out your altitude before doing any kind of aerobatics. good visibility in the Chipmunk, even though we have the RAF style cockpit. Like I said, the T10, I think it was, the Canadian version of the Chipmunk, has the bubble canopy, which obviously cuts out all the restrictions of the canopy. We'll move into a right-hand circuit. We descended down on the altitude, so we're now nice and low. I believe, I know I didn't want to cover much of the airfield in this video because it's going to come out in a future video, but I do believe Compton Abbas was saved as a live airfield by Guy Ritchie. That's right, I do believe at one point he probably either does own this airfield or at the very least he saved it a few years ago from closure. And there was in 2024 an air show actually held at Compton Abbas. So holding just shy of 80 knots. Always keep an eye out on position of the airfield and runway. Quite difficult on a grass strip because grass does tend to blend in. So flaps coming down one stage. Confirmed. Retrim. Knots. That's going down two stage. Confirmed. Runway markings in sight. first time a chipmunk's been bounced, I could say. We'll just park up and next to another chipmunk. Right, so let's just get these bags all sorted. Just the Trackir turn off, and there we go. Reset the view. Right, so in this view, I'm just going to cover this now. We do have a second chipmunk, obviously this one right here, and we do have the predecessor to the chipmunk, the de Havilland Tiger Moth. De Havilland were well known for quite a few aircraft, great manufacturers back in the day, but yes, the chipmunk was the replacement for the Tiger Moth, and it's, well, like I say, it was the RAF's primary basic trainer for many years, and still, even today, is flown by private pilots learning to fly, learning the characteristics of tail dragger aircraft. So, I hope you found this video interesting. I hope you found it informative. If you have any questions about the chipmunk, please bang them below. And I will see you in a future video where we'll actually be taking a drive around Compton Abbas here and seeing just how good this airfield really is. So, I will see you in a future video.